Hey everyone, welcome to Inbound Sales Day. My name is Mike Pici. I'm Director of Sales Products here at HubSpot. I'm joined by my buddy Sam Belt today.
Hey everyone, I'm Sam. I'm an account executive on the HubSpot sales software team, and prior to that, I was a sales trainer here at HubSpot.
Sam and I are really excited to answer all your questions about prospecting today. We want the session to be super interactive, and we're really excited just to get questions from the audience. We have a couple questions that we started off with here based on stuff that people ask us really often when we're talking on the phone. So we're going to start with some of those questions, but please pop everything into the chat pane. Use the hashtag on Twitter, hashtag Inbound Sales Day, and we'll be responding to your live questions as we go here. So Sam, what's the first question that we have?
Let's rock. So the first one we have that came in was, I'm looking to know what are the best 2 to 3 sentences to get the client's attention when you are cold calling to make the first best impression. I've tried, but I've had the same result. I've tried many, but I've had the same results. And I agree that the percentage is 1% roughly to get an answer. So I was wondering, what can I do to increase that ratio?
Yep. Good question. I think the reason we start with this one is because it's probably one of the most common questions we hear, right? People are out there, they're prospecting, they're sending email, trying to do outreach all day long. And it's a constant battle to get those replies. It's a constant battle to earn that interest. And I think typically what people want here, right, is they want some type of simple answer. They want the easy hack or the easy subject line or the thing that you can just say that's definitely going to get the response. But unfortunately, here I don't think there's a really easy hack or a quick tip. I think what it really comes down to is this concept of a legacy outreach versus an inbound outreach. And so when you think about the legacy outreach, what it's really all about, right, I think is it's your elevator pitch. It's, hey, I'm Mike Pici and here's what I do and here's how I can help you. And I think that's when I'm talking to people who are doing outreach, that's what I actually see happening most often. I think at the end of the day, what you're really trying to do is you're trying to do inbound outreach, which is really just based all on context, right? So what we want to do is we want to not lead with that elevator pitch. We want to lead with context. We want to lead with something about the prospect, about them, that's something that's really interesting that's going on in their world, a problem that they have, something that's going on in their life. That's going to ultimately help resonate the best. And when you can tie that in with your unique value as a salesperson and what you're bringing to the table, you're going to win more often than not. So no hacks, no cheat codes on this one, unfortunately. But I think when it comes down to leading with the context, I think that's the big win. I know this is something that you do as a part of your process all the time. Talk about how you find that context. Talk about some of your trigger events. Like, what are you doing there to really execute on that?
Yeah, I mean, personally, as a salesperson, I love looking for triggers because realistically, nobody gets in the office in the morning and gets a phone call or gets a cold email and says, hey, I want to buy something. You want to find something, right? Some sort of internal motivator, something that's happening within the company, something along those lines to help make that outreach timely. So when I think about what do I look for from a trigger standpoint, there's 3 main things, right? Number 1 is interest in you as a company. So make sure that you're tracking people on the website. Know who are those companies, right? Do a reverse IP lookup. Anyone who fills out a form, anyone who's using a free product of yours, those are obviously the people you're going to want to prioritize first.
People think you're creepy when you do that?
I mean, I think it's a fine line, right? I think it can be.
That's what that's what they're going to ask. That's what they're going to ask.
Of course. And it's one of those things that honestly I get asked the most on the phone. And I think the key thing to keep in mind when you're doing outreach based on somebody on the website, right, or somebody opening the email is to always lead by being helpful. Right? If you call somebody because they're on the website and you try and give them that elevator pitch, right? Or you try and hard sell them, they're going to feel put off by that. They're going to feel like you're being creepy. But if you go into that scenario and actually try and offer help and say, hey, I saw that you were researching this particular topic or subject. I've actually worked with a lot of companies on this particular topic or subject. Do you have any questions today I can help you out with? When you do that, you feel more like a customer service representative and you kind of disarm the situation.
Preach. All right, you had more triggers. What are those?
Definitely. So, let's say you don't have that engagement online for whatever reason. There's a number of other great free ways you can also get sales triggers. So number 2 would be Google Alerts, right? So looking for things like, okay, has this company gotten a recent round of funding? Have they had an acquisition or a merger recently? has there been any shift, right, internally that indicates that they're looking to make a change that you want to take advantage of as a salesperson, right, to be timely in your outreach?
You could set that up for free. Sam's not lying. Google Alert.
Yeah, check it out. It's honestly one of the best ways you can find those kinds of trigger events. Additionally, I think LinkedIn and other social media sites are great sources for this kind of work. LinkedIn is going to notify you, right, anytime there's a job change within a particular company. So if you typically sell to a certain job title and you see that job title change internally, that means the company's looking to make a shift, right? They're looking to make a change. Your product could very well align with that shift internally that they have. So another great way you can also look for triggers on LinkedIn is also around content. So if you see somebody at that company sharing content around a particular subject, use that content when you do your outreach to be relevant, right, to them. Say, I also read that piece of content. I also agree with you on this subject. What do you think about X, Y, and Z, to get the conversation started?
Yeah, so I think that's a nice template, actually. If you think about that outreach and what that outreach can fundamentally look like using all this stuff, it could really look like, a subject line that's going to catch somebody's attention based on something that's going on in their world. Not just looking for some, cheap subject line that's going to, trick somebody, right? Tricking is only going to get you so far. So interesting subject line based on what's happening in their life. Opening line is really, it's a context setter. It's, here's the thing that I know is happening in your universe, or this thing that I see potentially is happening in your universe, and I'm here to help. Second kind of section of that is making the connection between the thing that is going on in their universe and the way that you typically can help to solve that problem, and maybe some past experiences you've had doing that. And maybe your third line there is, to your point, just an engaging question, just something that gets a conversation started and is interesting.
Exactly. And I think the beauty of an approach like that one, right, is that it can't be easily replicated. Let's say Mike and I got up here and gave you a magic 2-liner, right, that could get to any decision maker at any company. Guess what? Every other sales rep around the country is going to use that. Eventually, it's going to get played out. Eventually, it's not going to work. The beauty of leading with context, right, and being engaging in this way is that it's always going to work and it's never going to get played.
Yeah. But you tried to stump me before this session.
I did.
Yeah, you tried to stump me. How are you trying to stump me?
Around
the next question.
Okay, so so the next thing that people typically ask us, right, and that also came up on this particular question stream is around companies that don't have the same kind of context, right, to engage with. So
but my prospects, they're not online.
Exactly. So what if you have a smaller company, maybe it's like manufacturing or shipping, and the decision makers are all still totally offline. They aren't putting anything out in the public. What do you do then when you can't really leverage that context and that website tracking?
So it actually does come up. It's actually a real thing. So maybe you're selling to a pizza shop, or you're selling to shipping, and there's nothing there. You can't find that trigger event. You can't find any of this context. How do you execute on a strategy like this? And so then what I think it becomes about, right, is you're keeping really the same philosophies in place, but instead of trying to go after one of these trigger events that you see happening online, or these news, or even if you can't find it in a newspaper, what you're really doing is you're talking to your customers, right? You're understanding, out of the people who you're already working with there, what's going on inside their organizations. Is there any trends between those? Is there any synergies happening between all of the different customers and all the different prospects that you're already in contact with and you're already serving? What are their pains? What are their issues? How has your solution helped them in the past? Right? You're pulling all of this context together, and you're reaching out on really behalf of those typical pains, that typical trend that's happening within these companies. And you can do a very similar strategy, but it's really just based off of the things that all your customers are already struggling with, and in the way that your customers are winning. So the strategy, you could use it regardless of if it's an internet research strategy, or if it's just talking to your customers. I think our point is it's about the context, and that's really where you're going to get the wins. All right, next question. So the next one that we're seeing in here is, what are the top must-have tools that every salesperson should be using to streamline and be more efficient when they're doing their outbound prospecting? I think I think this one's really relevant. I mean, we hear it on the phone all day. People are looking for different technologies. They're looking for different solutions. What type of stuff should they be looking at to make this process easier for them?
Definitely. I think you can kind of categorize it in four main ways. So number one, you got to have your foundation, and that's the CRM. If you don't have a system of record you're using to track who have I talked to and when, and what was the last time I did outreach to them, right? You're going to be kind of flying blind, and you're going to be retracing your own steps in a way that isn't efficient at the end of the day. Aside from just having that home base, right, that CRM, you're also going to want to have some tools that help you identify prospects. We've talked about a few already today, right? LinkedIn, Google Alerts. But you also want to make sure that your company and your website is being leveraged in this regard as well, right? You want to be bringing people into you. Some great new technologies that I've seen a lot of teams have success with recently are live chat. So having some sort of a website chat that you can use to, source simple questions and reply back to your prospects online. And also reverse IP lookup tools. So you can see who actually are those people that are browsing anonymously that haven't raised their hand yet, right, and filled out a form or called in.
That's a real stat I heard, is that 98% of the people that come to your website you'll never even know who they are.
Exactly, because most people, right, they're at the very, very tippy top of the buyer's journey, right? They're in that awareness stage. They don't want to talk to anybody in sales just yet, right? They're still learning. They're still asking questions. And that's the beauty of using things like website chat or content marketing, right, to bring those people in, answer their questions, and then hopefully capture their data, right, through providing other relevant kinds of offers. And let's say that you don't have, right, any of the above for whatever reason, and you do have some money to spend. Of course, there's also a number of data providers out there, right, that can also provide you with information around your prospects.
Cool. What about when you actually got to reach out to them? So you have some semblance of people. When I talk to people on the phone, though, I'll be honest, I talk to salespeople, and here's what they tell me. They say, "How do I send the mass email?" They say, "Hey, Mike, where can I send the blast?" What do you say to that?
I think an email blast is a strategy that's worked for salespeople historically, right? And that's why they're drawn to it initially. But I think as we proceed, in the way that people are being armed with different ways of blocking out that kind of communication, and email inboxes and service providers are getting even more protective around doing that kind of mailing, I think you also want to look to expand your different approaches. And that leads me right into the next stage of this process, right? Which is actually connecting with people. And I think at HubSpot, we have an approach that I would categorize as semi-automated, right?
Oh, baby, semi-automated?
Semi-automated. So not fully automated, mind you, right?
But I just want to blast, bro.
Well, you can blast away, right? Don't get me wrong, but the decision makers that you're reaching out to, these people are getting, a plethora of emails every given week. And if you just send them some generic, elevator pitch void of any context, do you really think they're going to take a break out of their incredibly busy day? Right?
Yeah.
To respond to an email like that? I don't think so. So I think what you want to do is kind of get the best of both worlds. You want to have email templates, but you want to leave yourself gaps in those email templates to freestyle, right? And find some relevant information.
We were freestyling, actually. Sam and I started the session by freestyling.
Yeah, it's a little trick of the trade here where to warm up for these kinds of talks, we actually do freestyle about sales and marketing. It's a little weird, but anyways.
Sorry, we like nice things.
So anyway, back to semi-autonomous, right? You want to have an email template that leaves you a space, right, to provide some personalization. And then you want to make sure that you're reporting on those subject lines, on that messaging that you're using, so that when you begin to send out more of these emails, you're using the approaches that get you the best opens, right, and get you the most clicks when you're doing that outreach. So now let's get into some more of the semi-automation, right? So for an email blast, you might send out the same email and the same follow-up to a big group of people. But what we prefer to do, right, is to use email follow-up tools that allow you to personalize not just the first question or the first email template that you send, but also the subsequent emails as well. And that way you have context that engages the buyer.
Got it. So recapping what you're saying here, basically the mass email, it's the legacy prospecting move, right? The mass email is all about, let me say the same thing to 1,000 people, and it's just not going to get the results. The semi-automation, what you're saying is it makes the time a little bit more efficient for that salesperson and allows them to get more done in less time, but they can still be highly personalized. They can leverage all the context that we were talking about in the research.
Exactly. It's about quality, not just quantity.
It's a beautiful thing. So, all right. What's the next question that we got here, Sam?
So it looks like we've gotten a couple live here. So let's see. So any ideas and tips on how to get more experienced salespeople on board with a variety of sales tools? And that's something I can definitely relate to, helping sometimes more reluctant salespeople, right, adopt new technology. What do you think, Mike? Are there any tricks or secrets to helping people do that?
I mean, I think at the end of the day, right, when you're trying to get people to change the way they do something, and they're trying to see a new way, I think what you have to do is you have to prove the value, right? So a lot of the times the way that we'll do it when we're trying to get a sales team to adopt some of the solutions that we're selling is we'll say start with one salesperson. Usually every company has one person inside that's really excited about trying new technology and that's excited about being that kind of prototypical person who's going to test all the technologies. Let them go get it. Let them see what they can do with it. And typically, people are smart. They'll respond to stuff that gets results.
Yeah, having worked as a sales trainer, I can't agree more. I find that when you try and push technology from the top down, it often fails. But if a salesperson sees to their left, right, that guy that girl on the team that they really admire is using a product and getting a ton of success out of it, you can bet they're going to want to pick it up and use it too.
100%. What's the next question we got?
All right, so let's move to the next question we got live here, which is, all right, sometimes I have difficulties mirroring and adapting to customer needs. Any tips on how to fully concentrate on the customer and not think about your product or your company when you're doing sales?
Oh, baby. This one is timeless. This one is my favorite. So fun fact, I've been coaching salespeople now for 3 years. On my team, we have about 20 salespeople, and I've never once listened to a demo.
Really? Not once?
You're on my team, bro. Why are you gonna act like that? We're on Facebook Live.
I've been sending you those videos.
Have I ever listened to your demo? Have I ever given you feedback on a demo?
I guess not, but I've sent you some.
No, because it's about the discovery. It's about understanding the customer, and that's all I really care about at the end of the day. And it's just about the discipline of doing that. So the one thing, if you don't have this now, the one thing that you could leave here with that I actually think is really helpful, it'll help you on a connect call, it'll help you on a discovery call, is having a discovery matrix, a discovery framework. And so the one that we use here at HubSpot, it's called goals, plans, challenges, timeline. And what that allows us to do is basically have a framework as a salesperson where when you're going in and you're gonna talk to somebody on the phone, you can really understand what types of questions to ask in different areas, which are gonna allow you to truly understand what someone's about, what they're trying to achieve, when they're trying to achieve it by. So as a salesperson, you can really do exactly what you're saying, understand that customer's needs, and then cater your message to what's important to them. Back to the context, you're hearing it straight from the source. So many times, salespeople are so excited about what they have. They love their product. It's so cool. And they just want to get in and they just want to show up and throw up. Yep. I love you, but I see you do that sometimes too.
Yeah,
but
thanks, I love the product.
But at the end of the day, it's about having the discovery matrix. And what I recommend there is having some high level sections that are really important to understand about your prospect when you're talking to them, and then give your sales team some sample questions to ask inside of there as fodder to get them started and to really give them a leg up and knowing what to ask. So I think a couple of iterations of that will definitely solve that problem and really increase the amount of context that you're getting, and it's going to help you be more successful. Now, with that being said, unfortunately, our fun morning of inbound selling has come to an end. We're going to have to wrap it up for you here, but I want to thank everybody for coming out on Inbound Sales Day. It's been an absolute blast. Again, the hashtag is hashtag Inbound Sales Day. It's on Twitter. Follow us all day. We have a massive day of just incredible content lined up. We've got some really incredible sales leaders who are going to come on, tell their stories. I don't even know how we get these people to hang out with us, frankly. We got Dan Pink coming through. It's gonna be a big day. So follow the hashtag, keep coming to the sessions. We appreciate you. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.